Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm not sure whether you still remember Mr. Bob, who has been working here for a while. I would like to make an interview with him to see how everything is going with him.
Yes, hello H holds. Everything is going well with me. However, every time when I log into my remote user account on the remote SSH server, I have to type a long string as the logging in command, with port number, private key location, username, host name. Every time the same things. Low efficiency and error prone. I hope I can improve this in a well-managed way. Do you have a suggestion?
Yes, with SSH client config file, you can make logging into remote server faster, easier, and more organized. I guess you still remember there is a hidden folder as .ssh under the home folder, and you can create a text file under this .ssh folder as config in lowercase, just config, no extension. The full path is tilde.ssh config. This file at this location could provide login information for the SSH client, simply SSH. For example, the host name or the IP address of the server, the user account that you would like to log in, the port number, the location of your identity file as the private key, and so on. Instead of running something like this every time, you can simply type SSH job Bob as long as the config file exists at the location with enough information for logging in. Let's create that file under the .ssh folder on your computer, Bob.
Yep, let's do it. I really would like to facilitate my logging in.
Okay, first we need to get into your .ssh folder with command cd tilde.ssh. And we can check whether there is already a config file existing here with command ls, which lists out all the files and folders. If so, we don't have to create a new one, or we can't create a new one with exactly the same name. Currently, Bob doesn't have that file. Right now, we can create the config file. We can create the config file with any editors. This time, I would like to create the file with nano. The editor doesn't matter as long as we can edit the content of the file. So nano config. We have created an empty config file. File config manages login information with blocks. Here I'm going to create a block for Bob logging in his remote account. Every block starts from capital H host, following a name of the block as a label, separated by a space. For example, job Bob. Then we can start writing the settings of the logging in block. First, the address of the server. We need an indentation at the beginning. Capital host, capital name, a space, and the IP address, or the host name, machine name, computer name. This time we set with IP address 192.168.1.144. Second, the user account. Again, we need an indentation. Capital user, Bob. Third, the port number, capital port, a space, 2223. Fourth, the location of the identity file, tilde.ssh Bob. That's it, very simple. Before we move on, I would like to make a summary for the way how to write a block in a config file. First, each block starts with capital H host, followed by a name. The name here defines the label used when running the SSH command. The label here is the one following the SSH command. Second, each setting inside the block is indented, typically 2 spaces or a single tab. Tab key is the larger key on the left side of Q on keyboard. Each setting is written on its own line. Third, keywords use capital letters at the beginning and no spaces between the keywords. For example, user, host name, identity file. Fourth, each setting uses a space to separate the keyword and its value. There are no equal signs or colons, just a single space as delimiter. Fifth, only 2 kinds of white spaces are used: the indentation at the beginning of each setting line and the space between the keyword and its value. Actually, within this config file, you can create plenty of blocks for facilitating login. That is the reason why I said you can't create another config file. This config file is under your home folder. It is only for you.
Alright, that is great. With the config file, I definitely can avoid the long command. I like that. I am going to have a try. Hang on 1 minute. I think Alice is calling me. I think I need to answer the phone.
Hello, Bob. Sorry for interrupting you. I am not in the company now and outside in a meeting. I would like to ask a favor. Could you log in my account on the SSH server when you are available today? Do something on my behalf. I have sent you an email about the things that I need help for.
No problem. I'd like to help. How can I log in your account on the SSH server?
Great, Bob. I have added your public SSH key into the file authorized keys under my .ssh folder, since I can access the same file under your user account with command sudo. When you have helped me, please tell me. I will remove your public key from my user account, so it is still safe even it is not recommended.
No problem. So I can log in your account as it is mine. It's on me. Keep in touch. It's easy. So what I need to do is just to create another block. Everything is exactly the same, but the only difference would be another label and user would be Alice.
Hang on 1 second. Even you have known how to create a block in the config file, there is a useful feature which can make such task even easier. Since the only difference between these 2 blocks is the user info, you can create a common block in the form of wildcard host block as host job asterisk tab host name 192 168 1 144 tab port 2223 tab identity file tilde dot ssh bob. Then you create 2 more ordinary blocks as host job A stands for Alice login. Of course, you can make the name of the label longer as job Alice and tab user Alice. Another one, host job B stands for Bob login and tab user Bob. Let's save the file, Bob. It's time to log in as you and Alice separately. Please try it.
Yes, I will first log in my user account. SSH job B. Great. I am in. And I will log out and switch to Alice's account. This time it is SSH job Alice. Nice. I think I can handle it.
Asterisk is not the only wildcard that works in the config file. Question mark stands for any single character in a label of a host, comparing with asterisk, which stands for multiple characters, and exclamation mark negates the string. That means not this string. The exclamation mark must be at the beginning of the string, and you need to tell the config file what you indeed want by a following pattern. Even you can just add a single asterisk, which means anything. So the whole label is saying anything is fine, but not the string after the exclamation mark. For example, if Bob uses his computer for logging in some non-job related SSH server, he can define a block as host exclamation mark job and followed by an asterisk, and then adding another asterisk. Yes, you can combine them together to make the meaning much clearer. Let's just make some experiments. Replace the previous asterisk with a question mark in the sort of general block. Change the label of job Alice with job A and save the file. Right now we could try SSH job A. It works. And then we log out. SSH job B. It works as well. And for example, redefine the general block as host, exclamation mark, not leisure, appending an asterisk. Now try it again, SSH job A. Actually, the exclamation mark just gives you an opportunity to constrain the condition with a tighter way. I think in most cases, asterisk and question marks are enough. Moreover, you can define a real general block with capital H host and asterisk. This block matches anything. If you really have such kind of requirement, you could consider to use this block to hold all the scenarios as a fail-safe. And last, I would like to say within a block, the setting for host name could be omitted if the label of a block provides enough information. For example, the label could be an IP address 192.168.1.144. Let's take away the setting for host name from this block and try to log in. I guess you have already figured out. Of course, we can combine the wildcards for this scenario as well. For example, while there are several machines with almost the same IP addresses, 192, 168, 1, 1, followed by an asterisk. Let's try it again. All right, I think that's it. How do you feel, Bob?
I will try something, and I will definitely give you my feedback later.